first action item is approval of change orders for JFK paving project. Victor?
Yes, we have our architects, KPMG architects here to help provide some information regarding this change order.
I need to get the microphone.
I think we need to, so
For the
it'll pick up on the mic or the camera.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Joe Riley from KPMG Architects. This is Russ Davidson. We are here to present the change order, substantial change order to the paving project. And the scope of the work basically is adding adequate subbase in the areas that were scheduled to be milled and repaved. There are several portions of the project that are new pavement that get full depth pavement, which includes subbase, 12-inch subbase where there is heavy-duty traffic, and 8-inch subbase where there's light-duty traffic or car parking. We are adding subbase at the milled area of the project because the subgrade is not adequate to be compacted and be strong enough to support the pavement. The total cost of the change order is $340,000 and provides heavy-duty pavement in the areas where there are bus traffic and light-duty pavement at areas for car parking.
Okay.
So, I'm sure you're wondering why we're doing this. So, we did some initial testing of the pavement sections, and we found some areas to be thin, some areas to be fine. When the project, first just in the history of it, this project was budgeted in late 2014. So, we'll try to look back over what happened over the last 4.5 years with this pavement. We tested it. We found some areas to be thin. When it got joined with the Fields project, we had to deal with DEP issues. At that point, we actually scaled back the work of the paving to try and avoid, to try and limit total disturbance area, to try and save money on the stormwater improvements and the DEP process. That was generally successful. But in the areas that Joe mentioned, especially where there's heavy-duty truck traffic, the milling of the pavement turned out to not be feasible once they started to take it apart. So we tried hard to save you money and to save wasted effort in the regulatory process, and it mostly worked, but it did not work in this one area. So we're recommending this change order so you get the best long-term value out of this paving project. And I would point out that you are getting extra value for this. It's been negotiated very hard. So you're getting value for your money. And had we stuck with our original proposal, which would have involved more DEP involvement, we would have been at the same place. That's how it was originally specified.
Okay, I'm just going to take a motion in a second, then we can do questions. We have a motion. Diane and Carrie, questions for
So, I'm sorry, but can you explain a little bit how the DEP requirements, or how the process has developed to the point where we realized there wasn't enough underlayment? I'm not sure how. It seems to me like this could have or should have been found before we even started the project, that we should have accounted for this prior.
The DEP process is about disturbance limits. And if you mill pavement, it's not considered disturbance because you're not taking an impervious surface and making it pervious. So what we tried to do was mill more areas of pavement rather than completely remove and replace your pavement sections. So yes, it was known, but we did believe that we could mill it. And when the contractor started to work, first of all, test cores were done, half a dozen maybe.
Yes.
So 6 holes were drilled in different areas. So you don't know everything about every area when you drill 6 holes. So based on the holes we drilled, we believed the pavement could be milled. When the guy got out there with his machine and started to mill it, it was so uneven, there was nothing left. So now we're down to a bad subbase. So now the best thing is to really replace the subbase. So yes, it could have been known. We did know some of it. We thought we could mill it. Once they got into the whole area, that turned out to not be feasible. And we didn't want to just put back pavement with a bad subbase. That would have just been, it wouldn't have cost anything more. You would have had a terrible job. So that's why we looked at this very carefully, doing a thicker pavement section, heavy traffic, sticking with our base scope in areas where the pavement was replaced. That's why you have this sort of elaborate color-coded drawing. And Joe worked really hard with the contractors to get this to the best job.
And the timeline piece, you said, had we stuck with the original plan, we would have ended up in the same place because with DEP, meaning it would have taken a longer time.
Well, I think it would have taken longer. I don't think you'd be doing this paving project this year. And I think you would have been spending more money because of the additional year's time.
Okay, depending on bids again and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, DEP is still somewhat of an open issue. There's still back and forth with DEP. As recently as last night, another letter was sent that Victor was copied on. So I understand the questions, and I understand that it's not the best thing for a board to be doing, but all I can tell you is this is a very difficult process, and our engineers and our team are working as best we can. We've got this to a good value. This can get done. You'll have a really good long-term paving job if you approve this.
And what's our timeline now?
Our timeline is very tight. We are up against the schedule. School opens, the day after Labor Day. Our contractor is out at the site working now. A lot of the concrete work is done, which is the curbs around the edge. Drainage structures and pipes are in the ground. We are using some of this fill as fill in the Fields project. What we're taking out, we're putting in the Fields project, and we will be coming to you with a credit change order from the field contractor, so there will be some money coming back into the budget from the moving of this earth. But we need to give them final direction today, whether we're doing this or not doing this, for them to be able to have that parking lot paved and ready for school to open. So we're hard up against the schedule. It is still very much achievable, but the slack is gone. And the Fields project, similarly, I talked with them extensively yesterday afternoon, and we have a meeting with both contractors following this meeting. We have a standard bi-weekly job meeting which falls on today. And the schedule is achievable still to have the parking lot driveways open and ready for school to open, and the fields to be seeded in the second and third week of September. So that's where we are in terms of schedule with this proposed change.
Victor, is this chart yours?
No, this was prepared by KJD.
Could you just explain, or whoever can explain, the subtotal versus the negotiated amount, this credit for 35? Could you just explain, whoever can explain?
That would be me. And the subtotal versus negotiated amount. Basically, we had unit costs, you can see on this table, for different types of work. We have an overhead and profit, which is actually set in the contract of 15%. But if you look at area F, if you followed that, if you multiplied that unit cost and did the math, that actually comes up to about $142,000. We negotiated that down to a flat $100,000. And then at the bottom, we got them to round the $379,000 down to $375,000. So a lot of this was a lot of negotiation that went into the unit rate, and then following that, there was further negotiation to try and get the price to be as reasonable, as good a value as we could get it to be.
Carrie, I think your question was about the $35,000 credit.
That was one of them. Joe answered so.
$35,000 credit is simply, we're taking a piece of the work and we're moving it from this contract into the field contract. And it has to do with the limited funds available based in the bond budget. We have to fund this project out of the bond because of the way the board adopted it and because of reporting to SED and all that. So there is a guide rail along the edge of the parking lot between the paving and the softball field. So we just took that piece of work out of the paving project and putting it into the field project.
Thank you.
So then the new total is, I guess I'm just trying to do addition. So the base contract, it's not the base plus the total change order giving us that new number? Is
The
it-
base contract is $857,000. The change order is $340,000. The new contract total will be $1,197,000.
Right, okay. And so Victor, just a question, so then that just comes out of, where that comes out of, and then how does that look for next year? How does that affect us?
Well, it's moving it from the $35,000 credit is coming out of the paving project, the bond project.
Right.
And then we'll see an increased change order in the Fields project. But as Joe mentioned, we're receiving a credit change order in the Fields project, so money's coming back to the district for the...
340.
The $340,000 is coming out of the bond, the capital project bond. So we're at the, 99th.
So we still have, okay, I thought this was going to put us over.
No, it's not putting us over, it's putting us very near the max, which was the intent of the project bond. So again, as Russ mentioned, the budget was developed over 4 years ago at this
Right.
point.
Okay.
This change order keeps us within the project budget, which of course is important. So it allows us to complete this work within budget.
Okay, no, that's good. I had it in my head somehow that 9 was this number, that we were now going over the 900,000 somehow.
No, we're going to be very close to the max of the capital project bond, which is about $39 million over the course of the past 4 years.
Okay, so it still keeps us within that?
Yes.
Okay. Mhm.
A 40% increase affecting 80% of the service area is a very tough sell to me that somebody didn't do their homework here. I mean, we're 40% over budget, and you're telling me it's one small area, and it's actually probably 80% of the project.
No, I don't think.
I'm seeing all the percentages for reclaimed, for rehabilitated surface. Am I reading this wrong? We got original contract for 8,900 square feet, which is all new, correct? The green is all new.
The green is new.
So we know nobody's gonna screw that up because they have to dig down, we have to do the base, we all do that. 17,800 rehabilitated, 24,000 rehabilitated, 11,000 in the original contract, 2,500 in the original contract, and another 24,000 rehabilitated. I'm getting like 80% of the project has been.
It's not quite 80%, but we did
But I think what we did
not say it was a small area.
Well, we said we took 6 core samples and it was one area that was really affected. I'm seeing 3 to 4 areas affected here.
If you don't want to do it, just don't.
It's not that, we're trying to answer to people, including all of us, obviously, who pay taxes, and 40% is a huge number.
Okay, so if we inspect full pavement replacement, as we originally had, we can show you the drawings. You would have paid this amount or more, we would still be arguing with DEP, and you wouldn't be doing this project this year.
That's not the point. The point is,
Well, I think it is the point.
the
You're
point is,
on
we as a
budget.
district can't keep getting change orders, especially 40% of a project. I mean, we're paying people to be professionals and guide us as lay persons down the right road.
Okay, and here's the thing, we tried to save you money. It
Let's
didn't
not-
work as well as we had hoped. You still have money in the budget. We budgeted $40 million worth of work for you over 4 years ago. You got more than you told the taxpayers that you would deliver for the budget they approved. What's wrong with that?
The fact that this is 40% over,
What about the other things that were under?
well before my time. So I have no knowledge.
It's
of
the
it.
same school district, it's
I have
the
no,
same bond,
I have
it's
no
the
knowledge.
same taxpayer.
All I'm saying is, we pay people to be professionals, and we're 40% over.
And we are professional, we did a great job for you.
I
You
didn't
don't
say
wanna
you're
do
not,
it,
I didn't
vote
say you're
no.
not a professional, I said we pay professionals to do the research for us.
And we did it.
Never once did I say you were not a professional.
Okay, and we did the research, we've given you the explanation.
I just think this is a big,
Dan, do you have a suggestion?
I have no, I'm not in this business, it's just, this is my point, we pay people to tell us. what to do. Obviously, we have to proceed with it, in my opinion, but I'm not happy about it. I mean, we can't have a third party come September 1st.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have anything else that they want to raise?
For me, it's the same thing, it's a hard sell, but we don't have basically an alternative right now, with no solutions being presented to the table. You said we drilled 6 holes or 6 samples. What was the percentage of the samples you guys identified at that time that it was a risk, that it was an issue?
But look,
I'm just asking the question.
we had, you have really bad pavement out there. We knew that. We tried to save you money by remilling rather than replacing full depth sections. When the guy got out there, the surface was so uneven that even where you had the adequate thickness, the machine just went right down to dirt. So I really don't know how that could have been predicted based on the information that we had. But it would have been safer to just say, let's just do full depth pavement, it'll cost you $1.5 million, and let DEP do whatever you do. So I feel like maybe we're at this spot because we tried too hard to do something that was economical. If that's the case, we apologize. We could have taken a much more conservative approach and just said, rip it all out and put it all in. It's also very unusual to believe that you have 1.5 inches in some areas or 2 inches of pavement over dirt in a school park building. That is, you wouldn't have that in your own driveway.
Do we know when it was last done?
We don't. We don't.
It's been a long. I mean, wouldn't that be a question we should have asked in the beginning of the process?
The side part,
This was done in the 70s,
The
and
side parking lot, I'm told, was done in 1964, is that right, Andy?
That's right.
so this is original.
Yes, yes, and it is.
But even for the 50s or 60s, it's unusual that you don't have a binder, sub-base, and a base.
I agree, but if you're gonna get, 55 years out of a parking lot, I mean, we should have been going for the worst case scenario.
And we
We originally designed it that way. And then there were conversations about the value of it, the regulatory impact of it, and it was decided to go forward the way that we put it out to bid this time. There's a full set of construction drawings showing full depth pavement, and the decision was made as a team, which included the district, that was not the route we were going to go. And we went with the overlay design, which includes new full depth pavement at the areas of expansion. And that's what we bid and what has been awarded to our contractor, Consortium Brothers.
I would just add that the reason the DEP and the disturbance limitation came in is because of the addition of the Fields project. Had that never been added, this would have not come up. We didn't know that in 2013, 2014, when
Go ahead. Mhm.
You know, it's completely understandable, but I think we're all, you know, a little taken back about the number. But I also think things have got to be done the right way, so that years from now, we're not talking about what a shoddy job the JFK parking lot was, you know, so while being cost effective is always on our minds, you know, I'm happy that the parking lot's gonna be done in a way that is, you know, better for the district and better for the long run. So sometimes a little money now saves a lot of money down the road.
Okay. So,
So how does this affect the DEP now that it's a disturbed area because we've milled to the dirt?
We have filed revised drawings with the DEP, and they are letting us proceed at this point. We do not have final approval from them. This is a process that's been going on since January. They are notoriously slow. But they send an inspector out every week. They're aware of what we're doing. And honestly, the best thing I can say is they haven't stopped us.
So I mean, are we open to any liabilities by finish this project now that we're over the disturbance levels and not waiting for approvals?
I don't think we are, but we can't speak for DEP.
There's still possibility of potential risk.
With DEP?
Yep.
Yes.
Do they generally come in and stop a project? I mean, what if they haven't stopped a project, what's the likelihood that they're then going to come and say, after they've inspected it, leave it?
I've been dealing with DEP since the watershed agreement was formed in 2000. They've never stopped a project. They've never stopped a public school project, to my knowledge.
I just want to make sure that at this point, that we're not at a better to ask for forgiveness and permission point.
That's kind of what we're doing.
Okay.
We get that.
So they are aware, and they have been aware, that our schedule is the opening of school. And they have been working with us with that in mind. And the work that we're doing is being done in a responsible manner and following the protocols in terms of protecting the groundwater and, you know, keeping silt from going where it's not supposed to go. And we're following all their rules, and they are aware of what we're doing, and they are doing their regular inspections.
And there's no chance that this project would affect the Fields project with the disturbance?
It should not. They're actually two separate project tracks going through DEP. The Fields project is further along. I may be finding out later today that that's approved, but it should not.
okay. So we have a motion and a second. So now our vote, all those in favor of this action item? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 0 in favor. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Any other remarks? No? I think we can adjourn. Motion, I need a motion to adjourn. Diane and Glenn. Thank you. We're adjourned. We're adjourned.